Whispers Zyra is surprisingly strong and has become one of the best top 4 comps in the game. Some of you might think this is a joke, but trust me, you have to try this comp. In this video, I'll teach you how to master this comp by going over the build, what items and augments to take, how to play the early, mid, and late game, and then I'll go over some in-depth positioning examples. The build is somewhat flexible, as the only core units for the comp are the 4 Whisper units. Zyra is our main carry by getting insane amounts of AD and AP through 6 Whisper and Rage Blades. Siphon and Pantheon are our secondary carries and tanks. Sylas is also a tank. The remaining 3 units we add in depends a little on what we hit and what augments we have, but the best level 8 version is this. Here we add in Seraphine for Evoker, Bard for Mystics, and Yasuo for Warrior and another secondary carry and CC bot. This is a pretty expensive level 8 build though, so a cheaper but also very strong board is this. Here we add in Seraphine, Jax, and Olaf. Here we have a tankier frontline, but our spells are a lot less effective, and therefore this is overall weaker. However, this is a cheaper version, and is also what you want to aim for in your lower roll games. There's also a Mystic version you can run if there is a lot of magic damage in the lobby as well. There are other things that dictate which units you play, like which items and augments you have, as well as what units you hit. I'll talk more about that, as well as what you add in at level 9 later in the video. Zyra is our main carry, so we prioritize making items for her first. She has 2 core items, and they are double Rage Blade. This allows Zyra to get insane amounts of attack speed, and since we're running 6 Whispers, we get insane amounts of AD and AP from the trait. This will turn Zyra into an AD carry, and when she casts her spell, it wipes backliners, as she has gotten a ton of AP through the trait as well. The third item wants to be a healing item, or another item that scales off of raw AP and AD. This wants to be Hurricane, Giant Slayer, Hodge, Gunblade, or RFC. The best one is Hurricane, as you will be dealing an insane amount of AD to 2 targets, and since Whispers helps to shred armor, you will be wiping both targets down with this item. Giant Slayer is great if you're against a lot of high HP targets, and also scales multiplicatively with our raw stats, which is nice. Hodge and Gunblade heals us up. This will be important against comps with backline access. RFC can also work to get even more stats, but getting 4 bows is also very hard, but if you get it and you can't go for any of the other items, then just build it. Stay away from Sojin, because when Zyra is casting her spell, she's not auto-attacking, and therefore not getting Whisper stacks. After you made Zyra items, you want to make Pantheon and Siphon items. You make whichever items you can build for them without disrupting your Zyra items. Pantheon wants 1 healing item, and the rest of them are tank items. Siphon also wants 1 healing item, and the rest of them are tank items or damage items. Here are some examples of final builds for both Pantheon and Siphon. Again, build whatever items you can for them, while not disrupting Zyra items. If you get a spatula, the only good option is Mage Spat. This can go on Zyra or Pantheon. This allows Sylas to become a much better tank, and Zyra and Pantheon's DPS get increased greatly by it. The best augments for this comp are Band of Thieves, Best Friends, Big Friend, Bruiser Heart or Emblem, Celestial Blessing, Cybernetic Shell, Cybernetic Uplink, Evoker Heart or Emblem, First Aid Kit if you have healing items, Second Wind, Thrill of the Hunt, Last Stand, Personal Training, Portable Forge, Terrify, Titanic Strength, Trade Sector, and Electrocharged. I mentioned a lot of augments there, and the best ones out of those are Best Friends, Bruiser Heart, Celestial Blessing, Second Wind, Personal Training, and Terrify. If all that info was a lot to take in, then check out the cheat sheet for this comp. It's available for patrons and YouTube members. Here is the quirky cheat sheet from last set, so you know what to expect for the Whispers Zyra cheat sheet that is available right now. The carousel priority for this comp is Bow, Sword, Glove, then Chain. The best opener for this is anything with a Bruiser frontline. My favorite is Astrals with Nidalee carry, since she uses Zyra items very well, and you also get Econ from the Astral trait. Some other openers that also work are Ezreal with a Bruiser frontline instead of Cavaliers, Wukong with Jades, and Senna can also work with a Bruiser frontline. Once we have found our comp, we need to make items. Zyra is incredibly item dependent though, so we can't make any items that disrupt her items, meaning we can't make any items that use Bow or Rod. We always slam Rage Blade if we can, and we can also make any items for Siphon and Pantheon in the early game. From there, your early game strategy will depend a lot on how good your opener is. In some games you play for a loss streak, and in some games you play for a win streak. And if you want to learn more about how to play the early game, then check out my guide where I go in depth on the subject. After the Krugs round, you should have more direction towards the comp, and the general requirements to play Zyra is to have at least 2 components towards 2 Rage Blades. Additionally, we really want to have a Bruiser frontline to make it easier to pivot into the Whisper comp later on. If you're weak in the mid game, you can either roll at level 6 or 7 to stabilize. If you roll at level 6, this is done on stage 3-2, where you want to roll for Zyra and other Whisper units. Ideally, you want to end up with something like this when rolling at level 6. If you want to roll at level 7 instead, you can do this on either stage 3-5 or 4-1. Which you pick depends on how much HP and gold you have. you want to roll and stabilize off of this board. During the mid game, it's also important to scout. This is so we can see how many other people are playing Whispers Zyra. This comp can support 3 players at max, which is more than usual, but if there are too many people playing it, you can pivot to another comp like Ragewing Xayah or Jade Qiuyu. On stage 4-1, you want to be level 7, and from here you have 2 different options. You can either roll at level 7, or you can go for a fast 8. Since we want to hit some legendaries like Bard and Yasuo, we prefer to roll level 8, but since our carries are 4 and 2 costs, rolling at level 7 will do just fine as well. The games where you roll at level 7 are when you're 70 HP or lower, you're lost streaking, you cannot go level 8 on 4-2 next turn, or if a lot of other players are rolling down here as well. When rolling down at level 7 on 4-1, it's very similar to rolling down on 3-5. You want to stabilize off with this board. The goal from there is to go level 8 on 5-1 and then roll for the rest of your comp there, so try not to roll below 10 to 20 gold, as we need the money to go level 8 later in the game. If you decide to fast 8, you have some late game flexibility depending on your augments, but if you have no emblems or hearts, you want to end up with this board almost all the time. If you have less gold, you want to end up with a 4 Bruiser version or a 3 Mystic version if there is a lot of magic damage in the lobby. If you get +1 Bruiser, then you want to go for 6 Bruisers, or you drop Yasuo to play 4 Bruiser by playing Olaf over him. And if you get +1 Mage, you want to drop Yasuo to play Zoe over him for 3 Mages. Once you hit your board at level 8, you have 2 options from there. The first one is to roll for Pantheon or Siphon 3-star at level 8. This is something you do if you're ahead, and if you also hit a ton of Siphons or Pantheons on your level 8 roll down. Don't go for them both though, pick whichever you are closest to, and make sure to be uncontested on the unit if you are going to do this. The other option is to push level 9. You want to do this when you have 2-starred all your non-legendary units at level 8, and you have at least 40 or more HP coming into stage 5. Here you will often add in another Mystic unit, or another legendary unit like Yasuo, Soraka, or Bard, or you can add in something else based on your augments. We cannot control where Zyra ults, as it depends entirely on how the opponent's position. Therefore, we just need to keep her safe. Siphon targets the farthest away within 2 hexes, therefore we generally want him to be on the sides, so that he can dash into the enemy backline. With that said, let's move on to general positioning with this comp, which looks like this. Here we have Pantheon in the middle taking most of the aggro, but if we have the Mage trait active, then swap the positioning of Sylas and Pantheon here. Siphon is towards the sides to hopefully dash into the enemy backline. You can move him anywhere on the front row, but you prefer to not have Siphon take initial aggro. Yasuo wants to be on the second row to not take initial aggro. Seraphine wants to be second row to shield as much of our front line as possible. Zyra and Bard want to be in the backline, but still in range to be buffed by Seraphine if possible. Now let's move on to some in-depth positioning examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Namsi. We have split Seraphine and Bard into different corners. This is to bait out the farthest away damage from both Zoe and Lux. Siphon will walk down and hopefully dash onto the Namsi or Zoe. Sylas is baiting out the Hecarim ultimate. Yasuo is jumping into the middle of the enemy frontline to knock up as many of them as possible. Against the second guy, the big threat is Xayah. We are baiting the Hecarim ult away from our backline. Siphon is positioned to hopefully ult the Shyvana before she ults. Yasuo is close to the Shyvana to deal damage to her as well. Seraphine is closer to the middle to shield our entire frontline. Bard is not getting buffed by Seraphine here, but that's because he would be getting stunned by Hecarim in that case. Against the third guy, the big threat is Olaf and Diana. We are once again dodging the Hecarim ultimate. Siphon is positioned to hopefully dash to the Olaf. Seraphine is in the middle to shield our entire team again. Pantheon will also catch the Diana once she jumps down, so that she doesn't walk to our Zyra. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they are available for YouTube members and patrons, and links to those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.